Hello wonderful person, this is Anton, and in today's video we're going to be talking about K2-138, a star system somewhere out there in our galaxy that was actually discovered completely by amateur astronomers, basically people just like you and me that have nothing to do with NASA or any other space organization. Anyway, let's talk about this in a little bit more detail, and welcome to What the Math. So first of all, let's actually take a look at what we've discovered. It's a star system, not very different from our sun. The star itself is only a little bit less massive than our sun at about, I believe, 80-something%. Oh, 97% mass of our sun and about 86% the radius of our sun. So if I were to place it in the middle, our sun would just kind of overshadow it a little bit. It would be just a little bit bigger. The planets, however, do orbit very, very close to our sun, which is why it was kind of relatively easy to discover them, since they have quite a dramatic influence on the actual star here. So, why is this discovery unusual and interesting? Well, like I said before, just under a month ago, we actually were able to discover a few planets using artificial intelligence, and now we've discovered an entire system with 5 planets using nothing but citizen scientists. Now, specifically, this is actually from this website right here. This is from zooniverse.org, a website that I actually reviewed something like maybe 2 years ago, where I introduced some of these projects. And actually, maybe some of you who watched this video were responsible for discovering these planets, which I would be so proud of you guys if you did. Anyway, so what exactly is this? Well, there's actually 2 big websites. There's the Planet Hunters, which is a really famous exoplanetary discovery website that uses the power of people to discover exoplanets. And there is this one from Zooniverse known as Exoplanet Explorers. Both of them work pretty much the same way. They give you a variety of data to analyze, and all of these are totally realistic data. And your job is to kind of just take a look at it and maybe identify what you think might be a planet. If a lot of people seem to detect the same thing, then the scientists go in and take a look at it and see if it's for real. If it's just a mistake or someone may be just playing a joke on them, they'll just ignore it. So essentially, the more votes a certain discovery gets, the more likely it's a real exoplanet. And this is exactly how they discovered these 5 beautiful planets. Now, what is really interesting about this discovery is that it's probably just the beginning. Now that we know that this technique works really well, there's going to be more and more discoveries coming in this year. As a matter of fact, it's very likely that at some point, most discoveries are going to be made by actual normal people like you and me, and artificial intelligence using machine learning, and not so much by the actual scientists. Mostly because there's just not enough scientists to go around, but there's so many of us, and artificial intelligence has gotten to the point where it can do this really, really well. So Exoplanet Explorers is responsible for this. Now, except for this, this system is not really particularly exciting. I mean, there's 5 terrestrial planets, or 1 possibly terrestrial planet that is still slightly more massive than our Earth and is definitely super, super hot because it orbits its parent star. I believe it's like every 2 days. Yeah, every 2.3 days. That's ridiculously close to the star. Our Mercury takes about 60 days. This is 2 days. And the other 4 planets are actually even bigger and more massive. So they're probably what we would call super Earths, or maybe even mini Neptunes. As you can see in this case, it's actually kind of a miniature gas giant, so mini Neptune. And it's emitting a lot of particles from the other side because it's also very extremely close to its star, and the temperature here is about 530 degrees Celsius. The other 3 planets are about the same. The temperatures here are going to be ridiculously hot. This kind of suggests that none of these planets are probably going to be interesting for us to explore and to settle on, unless we find more planets in the system. And that's actually quite possible because this star seems to have a lot of signs that there might be other planets here, mostly because it's relatively high in metallicity, it's just relatively stable, It doesn't really have too many unusual parameters. So in some sense, it is kind of similar to our own sun. But these planets that we discovered don't really give us much hope. So as you can see, all of them are basically too hot. Even hotter than Venus and way, way hotter than Mercury. This is the coolest one with a temperature of about 380 degrees Celsius, which is still too hot. Now, that's kind of all we know about the system right now, because this is a very recent discovery. Hopefully, maybe in the next few months or even next few years, we'll find more of these unusual objects, and we'll discover more and more of these really, really cool planets that are not only discovered by people, and possibly even you. That's right, you. You, the person watching this video right now. You could be the next person discovering these things. Now, obviously, you don't really get to name them, unfortunately, but you do get to have the satisfaction of knowing that you were responsible for uncovering new, really, really cool exoplanets out there. So if you do want to check out these websites, the ones that I recommend are on zooniverse.org. This is the one called Exoplanet Explorers, and also Planet Hunters. This is the one I actually have used myself for quite a few hours. I don't know if I was responsible for finding anything, but, you know, I did my best. Well, anyway, that's kind of all I wanted to say for now. Unfortunately, we don't really know enough about other planets, or really about these planets in general, to kind of mention anything else. But what is interesting about this system is that since these 5 planets are so close to the star, we're now going to be able to use this particular system as a kind of a benchmark for analysis of different masses and different types of stars being able to actually have stable orbits near or very close to their parent stars. As a matter of fact, one thing I forgot to mention is that these planets are actually in very, very specific resonance with each other, meaning that they have a very, very stable orbit that will probably never really disappear until their star becomes really, really big and swallows them. Well, so anyway, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you now know a little bit more about Exoplanet Explorers, and maybe you'll even go and participate in this as well. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Space out, and as always, bye bye.